If you trust your partner, do you still need boundaries? I get it. Now, if you trust somebody, you may not necessarily feel like you need boundaries, and you don't want to come off as being insecure or controlling. But is that actually true? Boundaries are usually described as protective barriers that specify what is and isn't acceptable behavior within a relationship. Now, that's not a bad definition. However, I want you to think about boundaries differently. Boundaries not as barriers. Rather, I want you to think about boundaries as bridges towards sustainable connection. Now, the entry point of each side of the boundary bridge says, this is the terms of engagement where we can come together and both have a good time. Any path outside of this boundary bridge will be to the detriment of one or both of us. However, boundaries within non-romantic relationships are totally different than boundaries set within a romantic relationship. Romantic love changes the intention of boundaries because love is a uniting force. Being in a relationship takes two individuals and combines them into one bond. It is no longer you on one side of the bridge and the other person on the opposite side of the bridge. In a love relationship, it's now the two of you on one side of the bridge and the rest of the world on the opposite side of the bridge. Boundaries are no longer about protecting individual well-being, but about protecting the well-being of the relationship. It is no longer, how do I protect myself from you? Instead, it's how do we protect our relationship from the rest of the world? See the difference? Now, boundaries in romantic love is where we merge each other's needs to clarify what's in the best interest of the relationship. We die to our I and we live for the we. Now, to clarify, this does not mean that we become codependent where one person is prioritized at the expense of the other. Rather, I'm talking about interdependence, where both people are equally prioritized and care for each other as a team. Setting boundaries in a relationship is a declaration of a change in priority. It is, I no longer stand alone. We stand together. I care about you and your needs as much as I care about my own. I'm willing to be sensitive to the needs that you have that I personally don't have. Let's mutually decide on how we engage with the rest of the world to protect our love and shared interests. Yes, even if you trust someone, it's necessary to have open communication about boundaries to protect the relationship. Trust as a feeling and trust as a verb are two very different things. Boundaries is what join those two together. Now, a person may want to set boundaries from a place of insecurity or a desire to control, but this video is not about the abuse of boundaries. Rather, it's about the benefits of healthy application of boundaries. Boundaries solidify a couple's shared expectation of conduct to protect the relationship from the rest of the world. Born from that feeling of having trust in each other, you can clarify appropriate behaviors to navigate other potentially threatening people or situations. For example, this could mean that there's no one-on-one time with the opposite sex, or making sure to say good morning and good night to each other when one of you is out of town. Boundaries are both protective and progressive. They actively prevent harm from entering the relationship, and they breed emotional safety through certainty and predictability. Trust is formed by promises kept and broken by unkept promises. However, if we don't have clear boundaries, we don't know what promises we're making. The lack of relational boundaries sets both people up for pain. Too many people assume that the other person has the same beliefs, standards, and life experiences that we do, and we arrogantly believe, well, they should know better than to do this, that, and the other thing. We can feel like someone has broken our trust, but they didn't actually know that we had that sensitivity. We can't assume that they know. Otherwise, it's like we're forging their name on a contract that they never read and then get upset when they break those terms. Furthermore, the process of setting boundaries within a relationship can be very telling. If boundaries are one-sided, where one of you is restrained in some way that the other person isn't, that's a red flag, because that would put you on opposite sides of the bridge. And if the two of you can't mutually agree on boundaries, that's also a red flag, because it means you have different definitions of trust and love, so you aren't even standing at the same bridge. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying it's a red flag for that specific person. Rather, it's a red flag that this is not the right person for you to be in relationship with. There may be nothing wrong with that other person, but if you don't have the same definition of love and trust, you have nothing. Worse than nothing, you have a major problem. Beyond merely agreeing on boundaries, it should be a no contest discussion. The two of you should be mutually enthusiastic about protecting the relationship. Now, if setting and maintaining boundaries feels like a have to and not an I want to, that's not a good sign. Having relationship boundaries is kind of like receiving flowers. You don't want your partner to buy you flowers because you told them to, but because they love you so much that they want to. Now, setting boundaries makes that feeling of trust tangible and reliable. People who set and maintain boundaries have happier, healthier, and more rewarding romantic relationships. Because when we aren't investing so much energy and time being concerned about the stability of our relationship, we get to focus on bigger and better things, like enjoying life together. Now, boundaries take the effort of individual assessment of threat every time something or someone new comes up. Having trust defined and displayed through boundaries keeps you on the same team. You know exactly what will happen and what to expect from each other. If you're looking for more information on how to set and maintain boundaries, make sure that you check out my playlist on boundaries. And if you're looking for suggestions on healthy boundaries to protect your relationship, stay tuned for my next video, 8 boundaries that every relationship needs. Did you find this video helpful? Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, and share this video with somebody who needs it, and I'll see you in the next one.